Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm your host, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the vault-dwelling, Jotun-Toten, Guardian of the Galaxy, Josh Finney.
Hello.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Corey.
Another week, another episode of Tower Casuals, Josh.
Another week, another episode of Tower Casuals, indeed. I said this was going to be a short episode when we were coming into this, and I don't know how accurate that is, judging by the amount of tabs open on my screen right now.
I mean, look, a short show for us is like an hour or so. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
It's not going to go too much longer than that, but it's not going to be as short as... Initially, I was like, when I was planning the other day, I was like, God, this is going to be like a 30-minute episode. Like, it won't be quite that short, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit on the shorter side.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, you're tired. I'm running on fumes at this point. You know, who cares? It's fine. People here, people are listening, people are going to listen to the Lord. We're going to talk about Bungie Day. We're going to talk about the Survive the Truth tease.
Oh, man. I'm ready. We've got updates to talk about. We've got Bungie Day news. We've got a new emblem we can get. We've got quality of life for Solstice improvements. We got a bunch of littler stuff today.
That's fine. That's good. Let's
jump into that teaser first, though, Corey.
Yeah, you sent that to me, and my eyes were just like, August.
No, I got so excited when I saw that at 9:00 in the morning. I was laying in bed. I was trying to go back to sleep because I didn't sleep all the night before, and but it was Bungie Day, so I knew something was probably happening, and so I was refreshing around 9:00. That's when Bungie tends to drop things. 9 a.m. Central. And sure enough, right at 9:00, boom, Witch Queen announcement sitting there on my timeline. Survive the Truth, August 24th. Savathun's symbol. And Destiny 2 showcase. I've been saying for a long time that I was pretty certain that August 24th was definitely the date. Just based on what they did last year with Season of Arrivals and Beyond Light. It's pretty clear they want to use that downtime for servers to just really dive into both the season and the story, and I love that. I love that they're so connected now.
Yeah,
that this can happen. But this season really seems like it's going to be if last year's Season of Arrivals was Savathun announcing her arrival in the system, this is really this is going to be where the desperation ploy starts. Yeah. Because now with Kira being dead. Savathun's going to start getting dead. I'm going to put that in quotation marks because dead. No one's ever truly dead in Destiny unless you're Cade 6. But
is he even really that dead though? Is he that dead?
Yes.
You don't think Cade 7's coming somewhere down the line?
Deader than a doornail. Deader than a doornail. If we were going to bring Cade 7 in, it was going to be in the time machine, and instead we brought forth a beautiful Russian robot.
That's fair.
This pretty clearly is going to play into not Cyrus. Or no Cyrus. We're calling no Cyrus. Not Cyrus doesn't sound right. We're going to call him no Cyrus.
No Cyrus.
No Cyrus. That's that's his that's Savathun's tower name right now. There was a glitch this week where you had to reclaim all your triumphs from the past 2 seasons. And in the process of doing that, it unlocked the final piece of Season of the Slicer lore for everyone. So a shitload of people have now been spoiled on the ending of the season, by the way. So those spoilers are out there. Of course, we're not going to talk about it until you can legitimately do the quest that it's associated with. When the proper unlock happens, we will cover it and talk about it. It's pretty clearly... I have gone ahead and read it. I have read it. We will talk about it when it happens in game. Very excited to get to that when it happens. I think it puts some of our NPCs in a very interesting situation going into next season and obviously into the Witch Queen. But with this, surely we're going to get confirmation that crossplay is coming. I think crossplay is coming on the 24th.
Yeah.
which scares me that they're going to try and launch a season and they're going to do a reveal and they're going to push crossplay.
You don't think they would start? You don't think they would start the season first and then like 2 or 3 weeks later introduce it just to get people? Because like I feel like that. I mean,
they could. They totally could. But I think they need to be able to test the server loads on the launch day of a season so they know how to adjust things for when Witch Queen launches and we're all playing together. Mm-hmm. That's just how I would do it. We did a stress test already. I have to imagine that a Crucible test is coming at some point because we've done matchmaking Nightfalls. I have to imagine they're going to enable it on the tower at some point towards the end of Solstice. I think by the end of July we hear about another stress test or two, and they just like start doing them periodically.
Yeah.
Or they just like start giving it to selective accounts early. Mm-hmm. I could see that like a phased rollout of, okay, these are people who have X amount of hours in the game. Let's roll it to them first. Let's roll it to these people next week, and then we'll give it to everybody else at the season. I could see things like that. It won't be popular, but it may help reduce the strain on servers. Mm-hmm. We don't know quite what happened on reset day, but servers went haywire. Nobody could play for like 24 hours. It's genuinely one of the worst outages I've ever seen for the game. They took it offline for emergency maintenance, which did almost nothing. It was bad. It was real bad. I was playing with Joe and Colonel Panic and Nerd Generalist, and we all just quit. We quit and went and played Halo instead because we couldn't do it. We were getting booted from everything. It was taking like 15, 20 minutes to get into a Crucible match because of disconnects. It was real bad. Not a great start to Bungie week. Mm-hmm. Like, Witch Queen is coming. This Survive the Truth. What do we think that is?
I feel like Savathun's influence is going to be influencing some of the decisions some of the NPCs are about to make or are making currently that we don't know about. And it's going to be almost like a puzzle or a riddle, and we have to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not at some point.
So I want to bounce an old theory off of you, one that I had ascribed to for a long time, and it's going to go back to some lore corners we did in the aftermath of Beyond Light coming out about Anna's or Elsie's visions of the future from the timeline that she's in. Mm-hmm. We know the tower gets attacked from her visions. We don't know if we've averted that quite yet. We've already done the first step, which is we took out Aramis. We've teamed up with Keitel. But there's still the question of Eris Morn out there. Mm-hmm. And when the tower was attacked, Eris was actually Savathun. Would a reveal like that make sense for Survive? Or the confirmation that it's not just an Osiris meat puppet that is really Savathun, and Osiris is Mad-Eye Moody in this situation. That no Cyrus is actually David Tennant from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire walking around in the tower. Hmm. You got to think that, like, when they say Survive the Truth, that it's going to be a bombshell like that, or Marasav coming back and being like, we're going to have to team up with Savathun.
Yeah.
Or, like, we have to team up with Savathun or with Xivu Arath or something like that. Like, I think, like, the way that this logo is with the vapor and the mist, I think gives a lot of credence to fan speculation and fan theory that we're going to have like a poison style subclass or a vapor, not really poison, but like poison and like vapor.
Mm-hmm. Poison would make sense because they've already done weapons with that. So like, I feel like that would make.
Think of La Monarch or Thorn as a wieldable element.
Yeah.
Get ready for another like 6 months of PvP being irreparably destroyed.
Yeah.
But I think that they're very quickly going to have to come to a point, especially with Halo Infinite coming with Matter and full-fledged production, of do we really want to keep dumping the resources into PvP and Destiny, or do we want to just try and make it the best we possibly can right now, but be like, because they are doing separate balancing. Like, we really want to embrace the power fantasy in PvE, and we might have to sacrifice PvP and Gambit in order to do that. Like, I don't know if we're progressing towards that necessarily. If this event on the 24th happens, like in terms of expectations, and we'll do more bona fide predictions as we get closer. But for me, you have to have a massive focus on PvP and Gambit at this event. Mm-hmm. You have to. You can, if it goes by without any new stuff for Crucible or for Gambit, then I think at that point, I mean, the community is already right to be upset about this. I just think the numbers are going to continue to drop, and it's a shame because the new updates to shotguns and 120s, Crucible feels fantastic right now. As somebody who uses a lot of scouts and pulses, it feels great. Mm-hmm. I don't really notice a massive change with Deadman's either. I'm really, really enjoying how the Crucible goes, but in the lead up to this, there's going to be that. I've seen a lot of people going and just like, oh, if we're really about to do all this Hive stuff, could we please get could we please get Crota's End back as a dungeon? And the other thing I'm forced to start wondering when they say survive the truth is and I'm going to ask this every single year, is this where we finally get the final enemy race? Is this where we get the Veil? Is this where they come into the story? Would that be something that qualifies as like learning the truth? Like, is that the real power behind Savathun, behind the Worm Gods, behind the Taken? Is that the real power?
Do you think there's some kind of like, I know we like Oryx and Savathun and stuff, like we've been battling them as like the darkness, whatever, right? But do you think there's like some kind of Assassin's Creed deity type thing going on behind the scenes, and that the Veil is that like their kind of or like a Mass Effect Reaper situation?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that there's a Reaper style situation. I mean, look at all these pyramids. Those pyramids aren't just there for show. Like, something is on those pyramids. Mm-hmm. Like, they took over half the galaxy. Like, something has to happen with that. And then there's the question of, okay, well, how do we decide what things to unvault? Like, how on earth are we flying to Europa, but we can't fly to the moon? Like, or to Mars, excuse me. Like, that's just kind of weird. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the Dreadnought, if they unvault anything, I think the Dreadnought's a logical choice. I mean, I know we've all speculated that Old Chicago is going to be a thing, mm-hmm. and maybe the EDZ gets vaulted. I really don't think they vault anything new this season, but I do think that, or this next year, but I could see them giving us a lot of new areas to explore, like more than typical. I expect to hear that Game Pass is available on PC now. Mm-hmm. That I think that's going to be something that's set in the lead up to the event, but that would be the logical date.
That's something that you'd want to get out before the new expansion, though, right? Like, you'd want to get that up and running and making sure that crossplay and stuff works with that, right?
I would imagine that that's going to get dropped on the 24th.
Yeah.
I think they were just waiting for season. I don't think there was any way they were going to enable that without having crossplay, because they know that a lot of the people using it on Game Pass will likely be console gamers who are starting to play on PC. Or who just, want to be able to hang out with their friends. Like, oh, I want to go play on PC instead of being on console. Oh, this lets me do it without any additional cost. But yeah, any more thoughts on Survive the Truth?
No, I'm just excited, and like that. I think that tagline it's made me more intrigued on what this is, because like we already know that Savathun is a trickster, and like they're singing the song in the city, and some weird things are going on with some of the NPCs, but like this creates a whole new set of questions that I am just even more intrigued by, so right. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm ready to see what's next.
As am I, my friend. So we're going through the Bungie Day post real fast. There's going to be a new charity initiative for the next couple weeks. As always, you can earn a couple of emblems. So there's 2 emblems there. There's the 2020 Bungie Foundation emblem. Circadian Guard emblem is a new one for $25. $50, you get the 2 emblems plus the new Buoyant Shell, Buoyant Exotic Ghost Shell. Looks kind of like an inflatable. And then at $75 or more for Bungie Foundation donations, you get a tiny tank emote. You're controlling a little tank with a remote control, and it shoots a heart as a firework. So that's kind of cool. Like that. Help us stay on track. We commit to having one of our community managers record a lore rating if we reach 500K by Wednesday the 14th to be shared in Schwab. So Again, cool. We like that. They talk about Solstice, the Bungie store. They are asking for all of your Bungie memories, though, in video form to post them on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok with hashtag Bungie memories. Keep them brief and under 1 minute. They're going to pick the few they like and use them for something special in the future. We'd like videos of you telling your story about your favorite Bungie memories. Could be your favorite game, Bungie-related event you attended, or a positive interaction with a Bungie employee. Doesn't have to be Destiny. You can reminisce about high-intensity Halo LAN parties, or share your age by talking about how you played Pathways into Darkness on your Mac in '93. Maybe it was the time you bought the first copy of Halo 3 from Bill Gates. Because Bungie Day, a common misconception of Bungie Day is not when they celebrate the Bungie anniversary. That actually comes in, I believe, October. October or November is when the first game they ever made, which was like Operation Desert Storm in '91 or '92.
Yeah,
'91. That's when it was released, something like that. So it's pretty clear that's what they're using these for. I'm excited to see what else they do for the 30th anniversary. We know there is a 30th anniversary emblem that'll be released at some point in the future. But while we're on this topic, I mean, Corey, I want to ask you real quick. We're going to do this again when we know the exact anniversary and they celebrate it. But what would your ideal Bungie memory be? Like, what is the one that will always stick with you?
Well, I mean, I have two actually.
Hit me.
So the first one is I think for most people, modern Bungie, at least, like Halo LAN parties, Halo 1 LAN parties, Halo 2 in the college dorm rooms. Like my first experience with Xbox was Halo, and I'm pretty sure it was my only one until Fable and KOTOR came out, right? Like Halo was the Xbox, and Bungie basically made the Xbox what we know today, right? Like there is no Xbox without Halo, you know? But I just remember the one every weekend we would go over to a friend's house. I remember packing up my Xbox. I was one of the only people with more than 2 controllers, so I'd pack all 4 of my controllers. I'd take my copy of Halo. We'd go. One time we had 2 8-on-8 LAN parties going. So there was 32 of us packed in a basement, and we were all playing Halo, and it was ridiculous. We had like we all, like, every hour we would like switch teams, like we would draft teams or whatever, right? And you know, there was like a loser's table and there was a winner's table, and if you won, you got to move on to the winner's table or whatever. Dude, there was enough Mountain Dew and Doritos in that room to, like, I don't know. We probably kept them in business that year. I don't know. It was ridiculous. That's like, just Halo 1 LAN parties were just the best at that time. The other one, though, is like probably when we finally sat down and not only beat King's Fall, but the coming weeks mastering King's Fall and running it 3 times a week. On, you know, when that hard mode came out, like we were running it, and we had it down on hard mode to under 45 minutes, and it was like, I don't know, we talk about King's Fall a lot on this show. It's still my favorite Destiny raid. It's still just those memories of sitting in my friend's basement, and we all had our own TVs, obviously, our PlayStation 4s, you know, filling the room with hot air. It was just King's Fall with a raid group was just the best. Dodging you know, flying dicks.
The wall of many dicks.
Yeah. So, but yeah, those 2 are probably my favorite. You know, and like,
yeah,
obviously this show wouldn't exist without Bungie either.
Right.
You know, to an extent, our love of Destiny, obviously, and Halo before that, and I don't know, I dabbled in Oni for the PS2. That was a weird game.
Oni was pretty fucking great to 8-year-old me, okay? Yes, that is not a joke. I was 8 years old when Oni came out.
Let's cover Oni real quick. A Bungie game on PS2 published by Rockstar.
Oh man, it was a veritable cornucopia of just anything you could randomly throw at it. It is nothing like Bungie has ever made or will ever make again. Yeah. My first exposure to, I was 9 when I played it. My first exposure was going out to visit my aunt in California that summer, and we went to go see her friend, and her son was still living at home at the time, and he was like 22 or 23, I think, and he had a Oni poster on his wall
with that, like, and I was like, that anime chick with the purple hair.
Yep. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. He's like, yeah, it's this game Oni, and he sat a 9-year-old child down at the PlayStation and was like, you should try it out. And I thought it was so cool. And then I forgot the name of the game by the time I got home, never saw the game again, and then it clicked for me about 10 years later that Bungie had made that game.
Yeah. You think there's any Oni Easter eggs in Halo or Destiny besides obviously Oni? And
I mean, Halo? I think Oni is the Easter egg.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's...
I've got two memories on this. I mean, like, by default, I feel like if you've been around Bungie... if you were around Bungie in the early 2000s, I would say up through Halo 3, because even though Halo 3 was on Xbox Live, like we still did a lot of LAN parties, even for it then. But LAN parties for Halo 2, man, that was where I was, dragging TVs, dragging Xboxes, going to Blockbuster and renting extra copies of the games if we had to. We would go rent games and consoles. It was just crazy. I remember like having to network my 360 into that because I was the only one with a 360. Yeah. But we all bought extra controllers. Like we all chipped in to buy like all these wireless got 2 wireless controllers and got 2 wired ones for my 360 so we could all play Halo 2 on Zanzibar together and on Coagulation. Watching Red versus Blue videos into the wee hours of the morning.
Battle Creek.
Yeah. Like Halo, like there's just so many. I mean, how do you pick? I mean, the very first time that you saw the Halo 3 trailer at E3 2006.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, that Halo 3 midnight launch I went to at the game.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh, dude. There was hundreds of people in this tiny GameStop.
Dude, skipping school to play Halo 3 today. It came out convincing my parents to let me stay home, 15-year-old me to stay home and play Halo.
Yeah.
Was just incredible. I remember like the excitement that everyone had around Halo 3, like the lead up to that.
Yeah,
that was because that was the first Halo launch I really experienced. Like 2, I was too young. I was 12 years old. I looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, I remember it being on the news. It was like the biggest game launch of all time. But the lead up and launch of 3 is still unlike anything I've ever experienced for a video game.
Yeah.
I mean, like Call of Duty would have bigger launches. I'd go to Call of Duty and Battlefield launches. I go to console launches. I bought Skyrim Night 1. I remember that was insane.
Yeah.
But nothing topped the excitement for Halo 3. Like, it was at Burger King. It was on Mountain Dew. We got the best flavor of Mountain Dew ever made, by the way, for Halo 3. The Game Fuel one?
The orange Game Fuel?
The OG Game Fuel is the single greatest soda that has ever been made. I will die on this hill. I used to have a can. I had an empty can of it that sat on my desk for about 15 years. Yeah. Or not, excuse me, it hasn't been 15 years because I haven't been out for 15 years. It sat on it for about 10, maybe 11 years. And it was one of my last years living at home when I had my surgeries. And my grandmother, God bless her, decided she was going to come in and she was going to do me a favor by cleaning some stuff up on my desk when I was laid up with my leg. And she threw it out in the trash right after I had my surgery, so there was no way to save it. I'm still bitter about it to this day. I saved that can for so many years through so many moves, and she just threw it away. But my other one, my Destiny related, I mean, obviously this show, but I mean, I remember reading the reveal of Destiny when they showed the concept art for the first time. We saw the Fallen sketched out. The Ryan McCaffrey interview with Jason Jones talking about, Halo, but looking ahead to the future and what Destiny was supposed to be. That initial gameplay reveal at the PlayStation event and going like, oh my God, what is this? and realizing it was the next Bungie game. And that was how they closed out the PS4 E3 reveal, was with Destiny 1.
Yeah. And it was that version of that first mission where like that, it's the version that the New Light players experience now, where the spider take drops down and you just see all these guardians battling it, and it was like, dude, I remember watching that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome! Like this is like the next step of Halo, right? Like this is what I think everybody was like, oh, this is going to be like the MMO Halo we all wanted, right? Like it's crazy looking. And then
I remember booting it up night one and going like, oh my god, like just the way that the gunplay feels in that first mission, like, oh my god, like this is something special, this is awesome. And imagine my disappointment when we get to the Black Garden and that's the end of the campaign.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget going, the gunplay, the movement, the abilities, this is the next evolution of Halo. I'm okay with leaving Halo behind now.
Mm-hmm.
We were all kind of disgruntled after we didn't really enjoy Halo 4 multiplayer that much.
Well, I did, but nobody else did.
It took me a while. I mean, I didn't mind it, but I mean, like compared to previous Halos, like it's Halo.
Yeah.
And Guardians didn't do it any favors the next year, but I think for me, it's doing Vault of Glass for the very first time. I think it's loading up VOG and going, this is truly an experience unlike anything I've ever played in a game or in a shooter. And my buddy Matt was with me, and he goes, well, he played a lot of World of Warcraft. Him and another guy who was with us, Steven, played a ton of WoW at the time. They were still raiding all the time, and they said, well, what do raids in WoW? Like, this is really unique, though. We've never seen this in a shooter. And to this day, we have never seen anything mechanically like that in a shooter. So many other games have tried to do raids and have just fallen flat on their face. The Division. Avengers is doing one. Avengers System Mega High. Thanks. They are doing one for War for Wakanda. There are games that have tried to emulate this, and it just doesn't work. Even PvPvE, like I would argue, really comes across best in Gambit. Mm-hmm. I think what Gambit can be, and it's just that moment though in VOG for the first time, and when we killed Atheon, it was incredible. It was like 2 weeks after It was 2 weeks after Vault came out, and I just was like, I could never play this game again and be happy. And I did put the game down immediately after that. I didn't touch it until I did Crota's End.
Yeah.
Because I remember going, I will never, ever feel as good about this game as I do right now. And I want to remember this moment for all the issues I have with this, with, the legendaries decrypting into blues, with the upgrade materials, with the whole horrible lights, or the whole...
remember the Ascendant shards you had to collect to make, like, the Ascendant material, and then you had to put the... Oh, my gosh, that was so...
Yeah.
Remember how many different currencies there were in that first year?
Dude, and then they changed it up. Like, then you had Ascendant Shards and Ascendant Energy, and it's just, oh god, dude, it was so bad. D1 was always changing it like every 6 months, and changing the leveling system and stuff.
Well, like that first year, like you could get boots or like a set of armor that was like lower than your current level, and it was like, well, you could sit there for days or weeks, like trying to get this last piece to drop, right? Like you had to be level like 33 or something to do Crota. Like everybody wanted you to be level 33, and like so many people were stuck at 32 because they couldn't get I remember I was stuck trying to get boots. That's what I'm always stuck on, is like I was trying to get boots, I couldn't get boots, not get boots to save my life, and the rest is history. But man, that leveling awesome. System was bad.
It's great. I'll never feel the way that I did in that moment about a Bungie game ever again. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. That's just a moment of, I'm playing something that is so wholly unique to this particular game. Mm-hmm. And I want to remember this forever. And I feel like that with every raid. Like, I just want to, with the exception of Garden of Salvation, I'm like, I want to remember this moment when I get my first clears. With Garden, it was just like, thank God it's over. But every other raid, it's been like, I just want to kind of sit here and like think about this for a little bit until they kick me to orbit.
Yeah.
Because 7 years in, and they're still doing things that nobody else has quite been able to do. Like, for all the issues, I mean, like, you get this, you have this, you have the dungeons, you have the exotic quests. I mean, you remember the first time that we found the Black Spindle? Not Black Spindle. Yeah, the Black Spindle mission.
Yeah,
the secret mission.
That was like what were we doing?
It was daily reset when we all found out about it. Yeah.
Didn't somebody just like find it on accident? Like somebody went the wrong way.
They never told us it was there. Somebody was running the daily and was like, "Oh, that door's never been up before." They walked up there and a timer started, and they were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And I remember hearing about it. My buddy texted me, was like, "Dude, have you seen this? Have you seen this?" And like, I was home from school at the time. I had just graduated, and I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, I can get on right away." And me, him, and my buddy Matt all jumped on. We grinded that thing for hours to get that mission done. Finally got it down to a science and managed to do it.
Yeah.
And that's just that again. I mean, like, there's so many things. Like, honestly, that may be my submission, because that was just the coolest secret. They did the same thing with Whisper of the Worm when it got dropped in. They didn't tell anybody about it. Just somebody noticed a portal on Io when they killed a public event enemy. They jumped through it and the timer started. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. And, Outbreak. Saved Outbreak showed up randomly. Random quest for it. And just all these things, like, nobody does it like Bungie. The Presage, Harbinger, like, you look at some of these quests, and it's just...
The Wrath of the Machine binary code.
The original Outbreak gun. How we became friends, the Sleeper Stimulant quest.
Yeah.
Like, you look at these things, and, like, it's crazy to think that this is the same... at its heart, this is the same company that was giving me Hang 'em High and the Halo 1 Magnum.
Right.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
So, man, there's so many to choose from, and I don't want to dwell on this all night, but I felt like we really needed... we could easily make an entire pod out of this. But, like, if you've played Destiny or you've played Halo, like, you have these... I mean, God, going after the Vidmaster achievements in ODST... some of those ridiculous things that gave you no gamer score at all, but we still spent hours trying to do them.
Because you wanted that helmet. You wanted what was it? In Halo 3, it was the Hayabusa armor. But in ODST, it was the Recon armor with the flaming helmet, right? Or was it just the helmet?
Yes, I think it was the flaming helmet.
Yeah. Which was awesome. Bungie. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it.
Just keep
Give us some new Gambit maps, but just keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't care who you work for. I don't care who you publish under. Like, man, you talk about a developer you'd follow to the ends of the earth and back. And for me, that it's Bungie. It's despite all the faults that they have, in terms of content, in terms of creating maps, balance, things like that. Like, I don't feel more at home in a game than I do when I load into that tower or when I hear the countdown clock of the Halo matchmaking.
Right.
Like, that's when I know, like, I hear Steve Downs' voice, or I hear Lance Reddick, or, Nolan North as goes. I dream of Dinklebot in my sleep, and I'm just like, I'm home.
Yeah.
I hear Tessa's annoying fucking voice. Like, I'm home. I'm here.
Or when you go load into the tower and you hear the Cryptarch. What can I do for you today, Guardian?
That's after the hunt, I see.
Summer, Halloween, and Christmas Grandma.
I am very excited. But moving on, I don't think we have anything else in Bungie Day. There's a Bungie Day art show going on. There is a really awesome ramen emblem.
Yeah, you sent me the code.
Get the ramen coupon
this morning.
Yeah. So I do think that we are getting the Matter reveal at some point later on this year. I thought it would come on Bungie Day. It's pretty clear it's coming later on. Who knows?
That sounds like an anniversary reveal.
It does feel like an anniversary reveal,
especially because it's going to be like halfway through the long season.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably not going to be a lot going on in Destiny at that point. They're probably going to plan like a full reveal of the, like, some sort of Witch Queen thing a couple months out from release. Like, that seems like a perfect time, October, for a new IP reveal.
I agree.
Are we going to cover that on this show? You think that's worth covering on this show?
When they do the initial reveal in gameplay, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd want to talk about it, but once it comes out, no.
Yeah.
Got enough problems keeping up with one Bungie game. I don't need two. That's all I'll be playing at that point.
Yeah.
What else we got? And then, in the TWAB, I mean, of course, a lot of the same stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's really, I mean, the TWAB is basically non-existent. Go read patch notes if you're interested in the patch notes. I would encourage you to. The movies of the week are great again. I would encourage those. The artwork is pretty good.
The tokens for the Vanguard tokens are ending on August 24th.
Vanguard tokens are ending. I'm glad you brought that up. I saw I heard about the notice, at least. I saw a picture of it on Twitter.
Oh, I got it yesterday when I logged in.
They are officially discontinuing Vanguard tokens. Turn them all in. You got about 5 weeks to do so. You got until the morning of the 24th. And then they will be scrapped like the Crucible tokens were last season. Zavala is finally moving to the Drifter and Shax way of giving out rewards. Awesome. Can somebody please call the Splicer Servitor in the helm and tell him to do the same thing? Because it's just brutal trying to level him up.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we should shift into kind of the main topic tonight, which isn't too much of a topic because Solstice is still so recent.
Mm-hmm.
Probably talk more about Solstice in the coming weeks, but
yeah.
Some initial thoughts on Solstice of Heroes, the event that I think we all agreed it got a much needed facelift last year, but it still feels fairly stale. The EAZ has run its course. I will say the 2 QOL changes they've made in there, though, of the grav lifts that only work about 30% of the time, and you definitely cannot use your regular jump once you've entered one of those.
Yeah.
Which is just maddening as a hunter. We just jump 3 times, like maybe like a centimeter each time when you try to triple jump. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, and I like that all your chest locations stay up now instead of having to memorize where they are.
Yeah.
Those are all really cool. The cat statue that people discovered under the EAZ 2 years ago can finally be fed.
Ooh.
And you'll get a random roll retold tale shotgun out of it. So that's cool. Encourage everyone to go do that.
How do you feed it? You just walk up to it and just...
Hold X. Yeah, it'll do it automatically. You don't have to have like the little gifts from the Dreaming City or anything, but it's a big Dreaming City cat is what it is.
Yeah.
That's cool. There's grav left to go back up to the top from there. But EAZ, I've done the absolute bare minimum I had to in there, and I have no intention of touching it anymore. It's just, it's an aggravating area. It's just like the Infinite Forest. Like, I just don't want to do this anymore.
When are they vaulting that area?
God, dude, I hope it's this year. If that's the only thing they vault, then it'll be a success. If that and Festival of the Lost area are both vaulted within the next 6 months, in the release of the Witch Queen, we will have officially succeeded in life.
Man, if I have to run through the forest again to get that dinosaur armor, I'll do it. I'm going to be upset about it.
You can flat out buy it with Bright Dust or Silver. They've already said. So
okay.
If I have to do it for anything I don't want to do, like if there's a meta weapon, I'm going to be really upset.
Yeah.
Because I really don't want to do the Haunted Forest this year. I barely did it last year. I've all but given up now. So it's just, I think that's something for another day at this point, is talking about how stale Solstice is. I want to play a little bit more of it to like really get a feel for it. But I have already earned my legendary armor. The armor is really, really easy to unlock this year. Thank God they have made it easy. Even the challenges to get the glow are fairly easy. The hardest thing is do a Master or Grandmaster Nightfall. That's the hardest one. Like the class item is 3 legendary lost sectors, and it doesn't say you have to do them solo. You can do them with a group. One is, I think, kill 10 champions or kill 15 champions or 15 guardians. But the guardians would have to be in a competitive mode, so either in comp or in trials. 15 champions, that's super easy. None of them are particularly hard. I do like that you can get a standard white glow from the armor without having to go buy the actual glows. which are back up in the store. They have put some of the old ones back up. The new ones look good. It's too clean for me. I don't like it. I want a very rustic looking hunter that's been out in the wild.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the antithesis of that. But there's a ghost you can earn. Of course, you get your full armor unlocked. You can earn tons of bright dust. There's 200 bright dust bounties each week. The event's going to go for 4 weeks. That's another, 800 or no, 1,600 right there, not counting repeatables, which are also really easy. But I like the emphasis on go do some of these older events. You can do overrides or battlegrounds or Wrathborn hunts for these, but you can also go to, and it'll go quicker if you go do these world events. If you go do Altars of Sorrow, if you go do Tier 4 Blind Wells, things of that nature. Those are really cool. I like that. Overall, the armor grind is just significantly better. They finally listened, and they nerfed the requirements the more sets you get done, which is good.
Yeah. Did you get your shark ghost?
I did not. I'm waiting for it to go up for dust in a couple weeks. It'll be up for dust here in a few weeks. I did, however, buy the Baby Simba emote.
Ooh. Oh,
and I'm sorely tempted to buy the baseball bat finisher.
Oh, the Grand Slam one.
Yeah, I'm very tempted to get both of those and give Bungie even more money this season because I've already bought 2 things for silver. Very tempted to go buy another pack of silver to be able to get both of those. I am officially part of the problem, but the good news is Solstice Grind, way better than it has been in the past. They do Prism Days now in the EAZ occasionally and throughout the game where you can get charged with any element of your choosing, which is really, really nice. You don't have to play a specific subclass on those days, which is great for those of us who unfortunately need solar grenade kills for our armor, which was rough as a hunter. But yeah, through and through, I think it's a better event than last year. I think it's a lot more structured. Not a huge fan of the shotgun you get from it, though. It looks cool, but I really don't think it's that great of a gun, truthfully. I don't think it has a great perk pool. And regular precisions and not precision slugs are in just such a weird place in this meta.
Yeah.
That I could see it climbing out of that, but right now I don't think it is. I want to get a couple more rolls on it, though, before the end of this event, just to make absolutely certain. Let me make sure Compass Rose, that's what it's called. So, Corey, any thoughts to kind of open us up on Solstice of Heroes? I really haven't gotten to play as much as I want to yet.
Yeah, I've only done the one thing. I just, this is an event that I always thought the armor was cool, especially last year when we were talking about it. That armor was so cool, but the grind was
Oh, it was terrible.
It was terrible.
Last year's is still the best Solstice armor overall.
Yeah, and it just made me not want to do it. So this year I was kind of dreading it. But if you said since you said there was so much quality of life changes, I'm actually going to try to grind out this armor and get it and see what see what I can do to get it. But it was just last year's was so bad, but the quality of life stuff is good. I'm glad that they addressed that. I'm glad that they're changing some things. The EAZ can just go away, give us another thing. But other than that, Solstice is back and armor looks cool, and I'm going to actually maybe try to get it this year.
Yeah, and with the event being 4 weeks long, I think it's definitely possible for even the biggest procrastinators to get it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I did the first 2 tiers of armor in 2 days, not even 2 days, and not even being able to play a whole lot because of the server issues. Mm-hmm. It's infinitely better if you have some good music or a podcast to listen to, or you're doing it with friends, of course. It's really not that bad overall. I like it, but Solstice desperately needs a rework in terms of an overall event. But it'll do for right now. I think that's still one area where Bungie's really falling down are these holiday events that they like to do.
Yeah.
I don't think the rewards are worth it half the time. Of course, we'll see. Glaciocasm, nobody really paid any attention to, and then they did all those changes to fusions, and now it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see what happens there. I think we'll both have more thoughts on Solstice next week once we've been able to play a little bit more.
Yeah.
This has just been, like, truthfully, it's been an absolutely insane week. I was finding myself playing on mobile while I was trying to get stuff done the other day. Like, that was part of my Solstice grind, was playing on mobile. So I'd like to be able to actually enjoy. It actually was not bad. It ran very smoothly for me.
You're playing through are you playing through cloud?
The web browser.
Yeah. Is that? Yep. I mean, it works fine. You working fine? With
I was playing on Safari. It all depends on your connection.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was just sitting there in bed playing. Well, my girlfriend and I were, we were exhausted. She just got home from work and was going to sleep, and I was like, I had bounties I picked up yesterday, and they're about to expire, so I kind of want to get them done. And it went fairly smoothly for me. Managed to get an EAZ run in, do some public events, and then of course I got kicked.
Yeah.
So, but we said this was going to be a pretty short episode. Let's take a trip to the lore corner.
Let's do it. Lore corner with Josh Finney.
That's right. I got 2 tonight. They're both pretty short, but they are both Solstice related. The first one is for Compass Rose, of course. Let the light be your compass, from Mithrax. You should put your gun away, the warlock says as her hunter companion strolled into the empty office. A long, appreciative whistle escapes him as he slowly turns and surveys the room. The commander's sure come on up, hasn't he? The hunter remarks, shotgun still resting on his shoulder. Then noticing something sitting on a high shelf, he wondered, is that a cat? The warlock gives him a gentle shove into the middle of the room, then slowly urges his shotgun down from his shoulder. Her touch leaves an ice-rimmed mark on the barrel. The look she levels at the hunter is patient but thinning. I don't recall having a meeting scheduled right now, booms a voice from the doorway. Both warlock and hunter turn to face Commander Zavala, the hunter shifting his shotgun behind his back as his ghost decompiles the weapon. He gives Zavala a crooked, apologetic smile and shows his hands to the warlock in gun? What gun gesture. Commander Zavala, the warlock says, with a quick chastising look at her cohort. I know who you two are, Zavala says as he breezes past them. I have a call with the consensus in 10 minutes. You have 8 of them. He's heard of us, the hunter whispers to the warlock, who gives him a serendipitous elbow in the side. Commander, first of all, we wanted to thank you for the rescue efforts on Europa. We wanted to talk about the long-term plans regarding Elixni settlement in the city. Zavala sits at his desk, his face weary. There is no long-term plan. Yet. You didn't have a plan before putting them in the bombed-out ditch, the hunter interjects. Zavala's expression is mixed with surprise and aggravation, but he lets out a burst of laughter. It crescendos in an uncharacteristically jovial manner before dissipating into a sigh. I suppose it looks like that, Zavala admits. This is the territory the consensus would cede for the time being. But the plan is to turn the area into a community learning annex, where the Elixni and humanity can freely share ideas, culture, and language. And they would live there, the warlock asks. No, Zavala says with a shake of his head. If everything goes well, they'll live in the city, wherever they'd like. It's just going to take time to build up the piece of Batsa district we gave them, and to make sure the people of the city accept them. The last thing we need is violence born out of confusion and ignorance. The warlock and hunter look to one another, then back to Zavala. That's honestly better than we expected. No offense to your city planning strategies, Commander. It wasn't my plan, Zavala says, motioning to the woman eavesdropping in the doorway. Ikora, the warlock says with a respectful incline of her head. Both the warlock and hunter look shocked at her presence. Ikora smiles demurely and more fully invites herself into the room. When I heard Mithrax's old fire team had come to the city, I was surprised to see you here rather than down there with him, Ikora says, though she isn't truly surprised. Have you given him your regards? Well, with everything that happened on Europa, ma'am, we didn't think it prudent. There's still raw emotions, and with everything going on right now, it's been hard to connect with him, the warlock admits, giving the hunter a concerned look. Ikora regards them for a moment, then nods and approaches Zavala. Family struggles can be challenging, Ikora recognizes, her hand on the back of Zavala's chair, even with found family, but I have faith you'll find a way to work it out. She leans over and whispers something to him. The Vanguard commander gives her a look of approval as he begins opening terminal windows for his impending meeting. In the meantime, how would you two like to help the Vanguard? Ikora asks with one brow raised. The warlock and hunter cast a furtive look to one another, but both are quick to offer silent nods of affirmation. Ikora smiles, having expected that response, and spreads her arms to herd the pair out of Zavala's office. Good. We have a long-range scout operating outside the city, a newly minted hunter, and we'd like you two to keep him company, Ikora says as she walks. She glances briefly over her back to Zavala, who offers her an appreciative smile. Who? The warlock asks. Well, that's complicated.
Ooh.
I love this. I love this in so many ways. We've read about Mithrax's fire team before, in literally the Mithrax lore book from Forsaken. We read about them. We know about them, and that he's been on many missions with them. After the events on Titan, he joined up with them, basically. It's very interesting that they haven't gone and talked to him yet. I'm not quite sure what the Europa incident is. I'm actually going to look into that this week. But it probably has to do with when we were evacuating people off of Europa, or an event that happens at the beginning of the season, when Mithrax is there and we find him in the Fallen and things like that. I really like that, and I like the nod at the end to the Crow. Mm-hmm. They're pretty clearly sending them to interact with Crow,
right?
Because he is being prepared to be brought into the fold.
Yep.
Now, this scouting mission, where do you think they sent them?
God, man, I don't know. I'm thinking.
My heart says it's the Dreaming City.
You think so?
I mean, Crow's path is on a collision course with the Dreaming City,
right,
and with the return of...
Yeah, that's fair. That's true.
Marasov.
That's true. You're right.
But who knows? Because, I mean, Petra's going to kill him if she sees him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be... you think that's going to come up this coming season? Is Petra seeing Crow?
I mean, I think it has to. I mean, I think that may even be part of Survive the Truth. What if it's just a whole bunch of different truths? Like, that's one that, Mara's going to have to come to terms with. Petra, especially. Mm-hmm. Petra said, and it's largely thought that Petra is the one who fired the shot that killed Uldren. Mm-hmm. That it wasn't us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what would happen? Like, she would murder him. Like, she's heard the rumors that he's still alive. Mm-hmm. And basically is like, I'll put a bullet in his head myself. And I'm like, I don't want to piss her off.
Yeah.
Our other lore corner is it's going to be the exotic shell that you can earn from the Solstice. The Filigree of Light. Light is both delicate and unbreakable, like Cora Ray. Crow sat high on the walls, looking past the future war cult sentinels to focus instead on the crowd of Elixni below. He wished he could be on the ground, helping them acclimate. Though his stay with the spider had been traumatic, he had fond memories of the Elixni who helped him adjust to life on the shore. He longed to return to Goodwill, but Zavala gave him strict orders to stay out of sight. It was a directive he had nearly contradicted in breaking up the previous week's sabotage. He was reluctant to put himself in hotter water for the sake of sentimentality. At least Glint can still have fun, he thought. 3 stories below, a gaggle of Elixni hatchlings chased Glint through the ruins. Crow had dispatched the ghost to do some reconnaissance and gauge the likelihood of another violent confrontation. But the instant attention of the hatchlings blew Glint's cover, and he seemed delighted in his demotion from spy to playmate. The ghost chirped in glee as the hatchlings scrambled across on all 6s, trying to catch him. He stayed just beyond reach, twisting and turning through rubble, doubling back so that the smaller ones at the back of the pack could have a go. Let them enjoy themselves, Crow thought. Things will get worse before they get better, and they deserve every scrap of joy they can find. So that's that. I mean, that's really short. It's super short, but I think it's important. When we're talking about Elixni life in the city, to see that they're still having these happy moments, and that Crow is helping them in his own strange way. He really is the prince of the Elixni in a lot of ways. We forget before when he was starting to fall, before he got corrupted by the Dark Ether and by Riven, he had anointed himself Kel of Kells after his ship crash landed on Mars. And slowly what drove him nuts, him and Varix were both claiming it for themselves at one point. But he believed that he was the chosen one and this and that. And I think that presents just so many opportunities for storytelling in this universe, and specifically with Crow, he doesn't know about his future, but he's so much different than Uldren ever was. Which is just it's absolutely crazy. I
wonder why that is. I mean, like not that like, you know, I know like the slate is wiped clean, but you would think like their personality would be similar or something. Like Uldren was so just like dark and yeah, and he like Crow is basically like pretty much replacing Cade at this point. Like
yeah, in a lot of ways he is.
So like I don't know. I wonder why that is. Do they ever explain that in the lore anywhere? Why like your current self is different than your past self?
Not to my knowledge. No. I don't think that's something that we're going to get until the end.
Especially cuz like Crow is really like besides us, Crow is like really the only like recent death to Guardian, right? Like I mean even we were not a lot, like we were dead for hundreds of years, right? Before our ghost revived us. Like Crow is only like one of the recent ones, right? Like where he dies and then comes back so recently, right?
Right. So
like, man, that's just, I don't know. I think about that sometimes where like everybody's been was dead for hundreds of years and then has been alive for hundreds of years, and then Crow dies and is alive again in like 6 months. Like,
yeah,
it's strange.
It's very strange.
But I think you think that has to do with like the theory of him being the next speaker and him actually being able to directly speak to the Traveler. You think that has to do with that theory, like why he came back so quickly?
Possibly, but I mean also like. We forget that Pulled Pork, well, Glint was looking for him.
No, it's Pulled Pork.
It's Pulled Pork. So he's been looking for him since the collapse, since the Traveler breathed out the ghost. He's been searching for him. And I think that Pulled Pork and our ghost feel some sort of camaraderie, especially, like, notice our two Guardians are the ones that have heard from the Traveler. And were, to our knowledge, the two most recently awoken Guardians, but yet we are cosmically and divinely intertwined with what happens to the Traveler itself at this point, and to the stories in this galaxy. Crow is a character that I think is around long term. Because, I mean, never forget in the original draft of the game, Crow was supposed to be a Cade 6 style character.
Yeah, he was supposed to be around like from the beginning.
Yeah, he was supposed to kind of be your mentor and even the vendor on the Cosmodrome.
Yeah, I mean, even if you remember, like, the game actually started 3 different ways depending on what class you started in that original draft, right? And, like, the Hunters were going to go with the Crow, right? Like, that was the draft.
God, what could have been?
Yeah.
What could have been?
I mean, you say that, but, like, then we wouldn't have got this cool story arc of all.
I don't care.
You do. This is interesting.
What could have
what's
been
happening now. I guess they could have just done this with a different character, right? Like at this point, but yeah. I mean, there's concept art of the Crow out there from that, right? It's in the Destiny 1 art book. I have it. It's back there on my shelf.
Yeah, I've got it somewhere. I need to take a look at it. I haven't looked at it in a long time.
So, sorry, off tangent.
No. But that's gonna do it. To just really quick lore corner tonight. Want to do a little bit more digging on Mithrax's fire team. Maybe whip some of that up for us while we're waiting. We definitely want to get into the Ada lore before the end of the season from the transmog quests. That'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, that is it, my friend.
Awesome. I'm really interested to hear about Mithrax's fire team.
I love him.
You think
I'm very excited for his fire team.
You think he'll become? I don't know. He might just be like an honorary guardian, like Hawthorne, I guess, at this point. But
yeah, I mean, he's pretty clearly going to be sticking around. So
yeah,
I like it.
Well, Josh.
Well, Corey.
I think it's time to get out of here.
I think it is too. Let's do it.
I appreciate your time tonight, Josh.
I always appreciate your time, Corey. That's my secret.
Is it? I'm your secret.
It is.
I'm Josh's secret. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. Remember, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us out.
Crispy 5 stars.
Yeah, just the 5 stars. All 5 of them. No 5, no sale. Remember, if you are listening on podcast services, to share with your friends. We really appreciate you out there listening to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. You can find it every Thursday night on your podcast service. Josh, where can we find you?
Twitter, at Josh_Finn, 2 N's. And on Mondays, you can find me on Q List for a couple more weeks, talking about How I Met Your Mother.
I'm doing a Mighty Ducks Q List.
That's right.
It's going to be interesting. So, you can find me at IamCoreyNHD on Twitter. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast. We are moving nights, so you can now find it. I think on Wednesday nights is where we're moving it. I think that's it. Follow Tower Casuals on Twitter at Tower Casuals. Email the show at towercasuals@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen. And we will see you next time. Goodbye, Guardians.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Every time. Every time.